Cha-cha-cha. We really are. We really are in Taurus season, huh, Heather?
Yeah, I'm loving it. I went out of my way yesterday to get a good bagel, made a nice pasta dinner.
Yes.
Uh,
Yes.
these past few
Just
days, I've been needing to be productive, but I'm doing it in a Taurus way where I'm doing it in bed and like drinking and watching TV as I work.
yeah. Like, and you're doing it in a you're moving like it's so funny that you say that because I've been doing a lot of like chores recently, but
Mm,
literally from my laptop, like appointments I've been needing to make, like literally
right.
medical stuff, like just getting into the OBGYN. I'm making appointments, right? I'm getting the ladies checking me out. What am I doing? But like, and then I also just like a generic, like I just was researching in my health insurance had some shit change and I like took a moment to be really responsible and find my like pick my new primary care and all this and that and like
Nice.
just getting my ducks in a row in that way. Like it is so
Yeah.
funny that this season hit and I said, how's my body? Like how's everything going medically? Like of course it is just like
Yep.
it's really funny how I'm
Yep.
really and more of like getting my shit together has been more from a place of like, are we healthy? Are we balanced and healthy? Are we
Right.
feeling like it's like I've been feeling very I don't know how to explain it, but it's like I want I'm there's like this idea going on where I want to be healthy and take care of myself. And that's
Yeah.
crazy because I never get those sorts of ideas.
No,
Like,
same. Even like I feel like having my moon in Taurus, it's like the part of my big three that I neglect the most. And I'm always grateful for when Earth energy happens, but especially Taurus, because I just feel more willing to take care of shit. I've been like cleaning shit out of my computer, working on my car,
mm-hmm.
all the
Yeah.
all the various trying to eat
Yeah.
better.
Like all that little shit you don't want to actually no one actually wants to take the time out of their day to do, but it's just it's
It's
responsibilities,
essential.
right? And it's
Mhm.
essential and it's the long-term effect of like, but if I handle this now, if I get this like under control now and it's just sort of in my system, it's in my routine, right?
Yeah.
It's like this does feel like it's exactly everything we talked about. Like there's an intention behind the habits I'm currently building. It
Right.
feels
Yeah,
like it
yeah.
does feel like I'm like, okay, this new astrological new year just started. We're at a fresh start. We launched into this earth season and it's very much been like, all right, getting my ducks in a row, getting organized, feeling like, and it has been very cleansing and it has felt really good to do this shit that I never normally ever want to do.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, yeah, you're a human being, adulthood still is here. And there's just like, yeah,
Right.
like the mundane functions that we all wish we had an assistant for. Um,
Right. Oh
but it's
God, one
been
day.
really nice to feel cleansed by
Yeah,
taking care of
totally.
my shit.
Totally. And
Amazing what being responsible for yourself will do, folks.
right, I know, I know. Oh God.
Jesus.
Um but also, yeah, so I Mercury just went into retrograde in Taurus. And there's not a lot happening transit wise this week. We're like between the two eclipses. So it was a big week last week. It's going to be a big week next week. But this week is sort of
Right.
like a reset. But the
Right.
Mercury in retrograde, I feel like my natal Mercury is in retrograde, and Mercury in retrograde happens all the time, and I try not to put too much emphasis or weight on it. But all the astrology podcasts I listen to and all the things I read, I'm just hearing a lot about how you have to reset a Taurus part of your life. You have to, reconsider how you're navigating some sort of Taurus part of your life, and that always like
Mm,
brings up fears for me of like, wait,
damn.
ah, but my credit card bill or like like oh god.
Damn.
No, but it's like
Yeah.
literally just Mercury in retrograde. But I think the fact that my moon's in Taurus, I get very that's always like my number one concern is the universe like throwing me something that destabilizes me in in an
Which
earthy
and then
way.
and she will. And that's
And she will.
like
I
and she
know.
will,
And
but it's also like I think a huge part of like Earth is like that's exactly it. It's like when you're really in Earth, you're very aware of things could turn on a dime. Things
yeah.
could just like, and I think that's where a lot of the intention to
Mm,
detail and responsibility does come in. It's almost like not trying to fight the correct me if I'm wrong, Heather, maybe you don't feel this way,
no, I
but
agree.
to me, as you were saying that, I'm like, there's an earth way of not, it's like earth is very stable and once grounding, once calm. And I think a huge part of the why earth's signs are able to really
Tap into that.
yes, thank you, is because they're earth and they like the pure nature of earth in nature is not calm and it's not perfect, and it's like
true.
all these perfect imperfection, all this perfectness that you find within the imperfections, right? And there's still the beauty that you find, that we find in nature and mother nature and all the ways that it's fucked up, right?
Yeah.
The fact that you have to kill that, like, to survive, like, this is just, her name is motherfucking nature. Okay. And the nature of it is that, like, animals in the wild, right? Removing humans for a second. The fact that you have to kill another animal, like, end its life, this really vicious, finalized cycle is so fucked up. Like, it's just like, my God. And it's, but there's all this beauty in it too. And there is this, like, and I think Earth is able to be grounded, not from a place of like, Earth's just got it all figured out. Earth just knows exactly what they're doing. It's because Earth is it's like, it's a part of it, right? In this way that nothing is ever calm, nothing is ever certain. And your responsibility is to find that calmness and make yourself calm, because you could never predict how things are going to turn out, pan out, what could get the wrenches that could be thrown in, right? And I kind of love that about Earth. It's not like Earth has all of its shit figured out.
No, totally.
It just, Earth is very good, especially when it matures, especially when Earth signs mature, I feel like, and they've been through some shit, literally like a tree, right? Their rings grow, they get more wisdom, they almost get more stable the older they get and the more prime, like, it's really,
and
it's really fascinating. It's a really fascinating time.
Wow, you put that all so well.
You said it. My brain just said, and here are the visuals that accompany that, Heather.
No, I so agree with everything you said. Yeah, and as you were talking about that, I was thinking, like, God, a lot of the Earth people I know, I want to be careful what I say here, but I feel like it's a little bit more fear motivated, but maybe that's me projecting because that's the area of life that I kind of like fear, like I said, like getting messed up. I don't know, like emotions I know I can handle, reactiveness and passion and, you know, fire stuff I know I can handle, air, totally. I don't know, but I do, but at the same time it does, it feels like Earth is constantly trying to create a solid foundation so that they can easily get rid of the fires that occur, you know, or
well, I think just for the longest time, I always believed Earth as like, this is a time to get all your shit together and to get perfect so that you can handle everything. And it's like, that's not it. Earth is a time to remind you that, like, there are always ways to root yourself, because
I like that.
Certainty is rarely ever promised. It's just rarely ever promised. And that can look a lot more dramatic, you know, than what we're talking about, or it can look a lot more minuscule. But, like, I think the point of Earth is that it's whenever the Earth sign comes around, I really try to take it as a time to ground myself and root myself, not from a place of I'll never be unrooted again and I'll never experience something that'll take this out, but from the sheer understanding that that absolutely will occur, because it's life and there's a lot to live of it, and, like, there's ebbs and flows. And Earth is it's like, there's something about when you're going through ebbs and flows and you hate it, there's something that's so primal that it feels like the universe has this need to remind you, honey, you're doing it. You're literally doing life. That's just life. This is life you're experiencing. And it's such a beautiful, or I feel like Earth is like, oh, were you trying to hide from that?
Right.
No, there's just not under these branches, bitch.
Like, no, you're so right. You're so right.
But in a healthy way. It's not, I think fire sometimes can have a little more of and water too. Water can be like, oh, those emotions you were trying to escape, not this season. In a way that you also need a break from it. And then you're like ready to get into fire because you sit with your shit and then you're like, okay, time to bring out fire. And then fire is almost like we're going, and we've got all this passion. Earth is like, it feels like we've come into this Taurus. This is like the first time I've felt peace since, like, Pisces season.
Me
and
too.
I'm still, but it's a beautiful thing because I'm still not at peace. There's still a lot of loose ends. There's still a lot of, like, respectfully, like, there's still a lot of shit that's not fully figured out. But I'm in a time where I'm like, but you know, it is figured out, Miranda. You. and the fact that you'll
Aw.
always be with you and you take you
Yeah.
wherever you go and you're your biggest supporter and fan. And like a lot of the shit you handle is surely from a place of like just trusting yourself. And that's like a
Yeah.
very, I think Earth reminds us, baby, we're always the tree. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, no,
We're the
you're
whole
so right.
thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We
And
are
winds,
one with
different weather
nature.
will come, but you're
Mm-hmm.
always going to be you. And
Yeah,
like
it's true.
some weather conditions might fuck up some branches here and there, but like
Yeah,
your substance, your roots, your trunk,
right.
your treeness, your tree ass self,
Yeah.
that shit's you. I don't know. It's a beautiful
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, totally.
I choose to
Do,
believe.
no, I love everything you're saying. Do you feel like you, with your Taurus rising, have a really strong, when it comes to like self-care, do you feel like you engage in those Taurian uh pursuits? I find that, and it's my moon, so it's like, but when I have a really bad day where like I just have bad luck, like a car issue, trouble at work, I don't even care if like my tragedy of the day was that I lost $500. I'm like, I am going to spend money on a nice ass dinner because that's what I need right now to make
Yeah.
myself feel better. Like,
Yeah.
that's a huge self-care thing for me.
100%. 100%. Sometimes I am just like when I'm having a really low ass time or like I'm sad, I'm like, you know what? I deserve some new shoes.
Yeah.
And like I know that people are like, there's like that joke on TikTok that's like, if you're sad, just go get a new tattoo. Which like it is interesting to hear you say that, Heather. My Taurus rising, definitely, I think I love appearing grounded, which is funny because I don't think that's maybe my first impression of most people. But I think
You are grounded.
I think
see your
people are
Taurus a lot.
surprised. Like I definitely maybe don't lead with it for sure, but I think people do when it comes to passions though, I'm incredibly earth signs all of a sudden.
You're very organized, yeah.
And I'll never forget when I like even like the person like just even co-hosting shows throughout the years and stuff. Like I think it's always funny when people see me in that working capacity, like comedy shows or film sets or like and it's so funny because the nature of those, it's like it's a comedy show, and if it's a film set it's probably a comedy something
Right.
scene.
It's like silly.
It's silly, but I get very it's the time I'm always early. It's the time I'm always like I know my lines or I know my shit and it's always really fun because I'm usually doing that sort of fun passionate stuff with friends who then are all of a sudden like, Miranda, you have a work ethic? Or they're just like, whoa, Miranda, you care? And I'm like, it's rare. It's rare, but it happens. And like that actually is when my earth, I think, comes out a lot more. And then but I think for me, a lot of my Taurus rising comes from a place of wanting to appear grounded on a personal level, or like, let's shoot the shit. Let's get down to the real business of it. Like, I think that is a lot. Or I'm like, come on, we can all say this, right? We're all
I
thinking
love
it.
how honest Taurans are. Yeah. And the
Is that
opinionated honesty.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. So, and like as I've gotten older, sometimes I'm like, okay, we can just. There's some opinions that we can shut the fuck up about. And keep that for you. But also, yeah. But it is having Taurus in my top 3. I'm so grateful for it. I do think that over time, throughout my years, it's something, as we talked about, your moon is something that you tap into more as you mature as a human being, and the more just literally the more movement in the sky that goes on that kind of forces you to tap into that more. But also I feel that way with my rising a little bit more too, that I almost maybe led with my rising when I was younger. I'm not sure. I'm not,
I feel that way about myself. Yeah, that's interesting.
I was just about to ask, do you feel like you're more in tune with your rising and moon now, or either one more now than you were when you were younger, or am I completely off with that? You can also correct me.
Well, with the Leo rising, I feel like I was very connected to it as a very young child and then lost it big time along the way. And now I'm tapping into it again in a big way. But
we're both going through that Saturn return. So that would make sense,
which is
as
a
well.
big part of it. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
The sun and moon thing is interesting. I feel like Liz Green says that you're more your moon habitually because that is more like your subconscious. That's more like your emotions, the part of you that no one sees. No. But I've heard the opposite as well.
That's funny.
And in my experience, I've kind of always felt more connected to Aquarius than Taurus. However, I constantly get from other people that I'm incredibly stubborn, that I'm incredibly ambitious. I think is more Taurus than Aquarius. Like I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. Also, though, real quick, Heather, not to completely segue, because I want to circle back to this, but as I mentioned, off the pod, this has been a very weird, fun Saturn return time. And when I say fun, I mean a fucking nightmare. But no, I'm just kidding. It had like it weirdly is like, roll your eyes, say what you want to say. People shouldn't live their lives by astrology. Fuck off. Turn this shit off. I don't even want you listening, bitch.
Same.
Respectfully to all the listeners who do believe, know it's science and know that it's backed by facts. Please. Again, I'm just not here. I'm not entertaining this, but I'm entertaining it. But like when it comes to, you just can't tell me this shit's made up, but we digress. The amount of shit that's returned to me already. One of those big like return factors to me. My drama teacher from high school visited New York for like the weekend. She visited the city with her mom. Both of these women are incredible. Shouts out to Laura McVeigh. Oh my God, who I call Mama McVeigh, just an angel. I don't think she's listening. And thank God, because I just said the F word not too long ago. And then Jordan McVeigh Christian, who was my drama teacher. So both of these lovely women, huge theater advocates, lovers, were so influential to my upbringing in ways that I knew at the time, like absolutely knew and understood at the time and understood for years after. And I can't believe, but of course I can, just even seeing them recently, all this like nostalgic flame of like passion and young life, because it was my influential like high school years, right? And they were such incredible role models for me, and really are like, Miss Jordan McVeigh was the first person to tell me I was talented in that capacity of like the stage, in a way that I had no idea, in a way that it warped my I quit cheerleading. I became dedicated to drama club. I don't know. She didn't mean to do that. It just like, it was that, as Gaga says, the whole world can be rooting against you and you just need that one. I butchered that. But that was like McVeigh for me. And I remember there was like she pulled me after class and was just like, hey, I think you'd go really far in this. And like, do you even like cheerleading? What's that going to do for you? Like kind of got like real.
That's incredible.
On a real level of like, hey, I think you should really think about pursuing this. And she could see that like, what if this girl goes down like not to shit on cheerleading, but in terms of like a future in it, I knew that I wasn't even going to cheer in college. And that's like kind of as far as it goes in that capacity.
Yeah, for sure.
She was just an incredible role model from that point. And like now is a friend. Like it's crazy that I got like a Bloody Mary with her. My whole point to this is that like her returning too was such a incredible special, not returning, but like we do keep in touch. Right. She told me she listens to the podcast, which is why it's fun to shout her out. She'll be talked about more during cancer season. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. But that was such a profound like moment. I literally just got lunch with these two goddesses for like a few hours. We talked all this shit and like just really had an incredible time in Manhattan. And in a way that I felt I left with like a spark. And it was so the timing of that, of me going through my Saturn return. Jordan McVeigh coming into like my life for like lunch. I haven't seen her in person since 2018. And that's just because I happened to be in South Florida at the time to like bump into her for briefly. So again, like but I also just wanted to add, we did her moon and rising, like we did her chart because she, and that's like, as we're talking about this segment, she was someone who was like, what the fuck do you mean by moon and rising? And how do I calculate it? And I was like, oh my God, like I didn't even think about, like, we bring it up a lot on the pod. But so I just wanted to like add this segment for like anyone, because she knows her birthplace, she knows her birth time and all that. So like we did it, and I'm going to be sending her more information on her chart as we go, because it's just so fun. But anyways, so Heather, not to pimp you out here completely, put it all on you, but like, would you like to you're like, no, I like it. All right, Winona, plug your ears. But yeah, if you, for the folks real quick, wouldn't mind not explaining again, but just going into a little bit on what the moon and rising for us, for astrology dum-dums like myself and the gorgeous Jordan McVeigh Christian.
The big 3 points
I say points because the rising isn't a planet, but the big three energies in your personality that you can look at through the lens of astrology are the sun, the moon, and the rising. The sun is your ego personality. The moon is more how you are on a subconscious level. Habitually, it's the emotions, the deeper part of you. And then the rising is more like the impression you give off at a party with a bunch of new people, or the first impression you give off, how you start things, how you view the world. It's like the filter on top of the personality.
Yeah.
And you need your time of birth to get the rising. The moon, sometimes you can figure out based on the day, but the moon changes every 2 days, generally, give or take. So it's you really need the time of birth to figure out everything. And you can go on, my favorite website is astrodienst.com. You can fill out, you can do natal chart generator, put in all your birth info, and it'll give you the chart. But if looking at the chart is too intimidating, there's
You could
also
DM
lots
Heather
of apps.
and she'll
You can
do
DM
it.
me. Yeah, actually,
No.
I encourage you to
Didn't
DM
mean
me
to slip
over.
an advertisement in, but honestly, that's not even, that is real. Like, I'm kind of like,
Yeah.
anytime someone has bigger, deeper questions, I'm like, you should talk to my friend Heather. Like, she
I
has so
kind
much
of-
more information on it.
Thank you. I kind of have issues with these apps. Like, what's the big app that everyone's using?
Cafe
CoStar.
Astrology. Oh,
Cafe
yeah,
Astrology, at least
CoStar.
I like their website and I think they're
Mhm.
good, but I haven't seen the app. But CoStar I have an issue with because it doesn't give you the visual of the chart. It just,
Right.
and I get that that's easier for people who get confused by the visual of the chart, but I think you also need the chart visual to understand how astrology works, what we're talking about here on the pot. Like,
it took me, I still have issues with the chart, but it took a while of looking at them and I'm like, oh, literally every chart is not a perfect circle. It's on this degree, or like there's different degrees to it, which means this. Yeah. And that takes time.
It does.
But yes,
yeah, please DM me.
Yes. But also, Heather, I think that was, you said Astro.
Astrodienst. It's ASTRODIENST.com. It's the best astrology website out there. My mom and I joke that it's called Astro Dentist. What a weird name. Like,
it is weird. But you're right. I signed up for their like newsletters.
Oh my God.
Like I get their like newsletters and stuff.
I'm obsessed with their newsletters. They also have a weekly horoscope. So I'm always looking at the daily. Then on Sundays, I'm like, ooh, a new weekly. And then new monthly. They're great. There's also a function where you can like click on the planets in your chart and it'll tell you a little brief synopsis of what that means. If you go to Astro Click Portrait.
Amazing.
Really awesome. Yeah.
Yes. But again, I love when people ask about like the moon and rising, and I feel like you articulated it so well. And I'm going to be better about articulating this to people next time, that it's like, out of all the movements, all the stuff that's going on in your chart, these three are the biggest in terms of energy and personality. It's probably what you're going to just be like, it's sort of right. It's the very, very tips that tell you a lot, but obviously there's so much more.
Yeah.
All right, Heather.
Beings.
Yes, we certainly are, like the sky.
Yes.
Shall we move into the charts?
Yes, I'm excited.
And we're right back. Only seconds have passed, huh, Heather? It turns out Mercury is actually not retrograding, huh, Heather?
LOL.
LOL. So, folks, for those of you who aren't watching, so again, just a little plug to remind the folks that we do have a YouTube channel at Hollywood Horoscopes, and while we're at it, we also have an Instagram at Hollywood Horoscopes. But listeners, you already knew that. Huh, listeners? But for those of you who are just listening, not watching, hours have gone by. Literally, Heather, when I looked at our email from when you sent the Zoom link last, it was like 11 hours ago. You had emailed me. But we're now picking up where we left off. But folks, I had a cable issue because Mercury's in retrograde.
Yeah.
So the first chunk of our audio sounded fine, no issues, but Heather heard on her end, thank God, and spoke up. If you hear something, say something. You heard it like crackling and crackle and popping. And thank God we stopped because that audio was absolutely unusable. Absolutely unusable.
Yeah, thank God we stopped and we figured it out. But
so we took a little break. We had to reschedule, but we're here now. New cable and all.
She's a retrograding.
But
I
she
mean,
retrograding with a vengeance.
I feel like it's only been a few days. I feel like I'm feeling it more than any other Mercury retrograde I've had. My roommate's flight got delayed. He can't leave until tomorrow
right.
now. What else happened? I had a surprise run-in recently.
Oh yeah.
Just like I feel like it's all
Yep.
my other
yeah. Oh, sorry, Heather, please.
No,
I was
just
go
like
down
my
your
other
list.
friend has a tech breakdown. Like it's all
Right.
over the place. I was expecting my printer to break at work today because it always breaks, but it didn't. So
Right. No, yeah, I hear you. That's like I was gonna say, listeners, if you're bumping into like like just maybe someone you've been thinking about recently, or like a crush, or even an ex, or just like your teacher from preschool. I don't know, like there's a bunch of weird things that like align and are very like on point during this time in a way that is kind of like, what are the odds, or like what are the chances, sort of like. It's kind of funny. I feel like anytime there's a Mercury in retrograde, that's always like the stories. Even if I'm not going through something like specifically like that, my friends are usually like experiencing something similar.
And Mercury rules Gemini, so it's all about communication, travel,
That's right.
the immediate environment,
travel.
Heather. It's
Heather.
all about how we like navigate the immediate environment. So like often, breakdowns with travel. They say like you don't want to book flights during Mercury in retrograde. You don't want to, but you have to take that all with a grain of salt. I literally booked a flight during Mercury in retrograde.
Yeah, is it that you don't want to book a flight, or is it that you don't want to take a flight?
I think take a flight, which is what I'm doing. But
so I was gonna say, I'm in the middle of about to book some flights here.
I mean, at the same
Heather,
time,
should I maybe wait? Give it a couple days?
No. We can't let this shit control our lives. It's like the energy's gonna reveal itself however it does.
But don't be surprised if some things get a little wonky crazy. And again, it doesn't always mean it's the super negative thing, right? Like it ended up being kind of a nice thing that the cable broke today, and then the way my day unfolded instead ended up being like a positive, as we were talking about before. And so like, again, I don't think it was just kind of like, what the fuck, that was crazy, especially because the first part of our audio was great. So it was kind of brilliant that we had just taken a pause, and then the cable decided to be, even though it was annoying, even the timing of it being annoying was
right. That's usually the thing with
right. It's just always
like a bummer in the moment, but it's
gonna throw a
not
wrench in there. But
Yeah.
the plan's gonna maybe unfold, just not in the way you thought, right?
Yes. And I just remembered actually that also today I ordered Mediterranean food from my favorite restaurant literally on my block. And it always comes with a Caesar salad. And I came home. I was so excited to eat it. After the first day Mercury in retrograde happened, I went there so excited to eat it, and it turned out it was closed that day. But now I finally got it, and I got home and the Caesar salad wasn't there. And I was like, well, damn it, I should have checked the bag. But then I went back to the place and they were so apologetic and gave me like a large Caesar salad instead.
All right. You see? You see?
The gifts of Mercury.
Yeah. No, that's just, and like we talked about this too, like phones having issues, like your friend having tech problems. There's so many different like layers of it, but it is funny, like the common themes that usually, like, again, even if I'm not experiencing them firsthand, like it is so funny to like see the common themes around everywhere. It's like everyone's kind of going through it, and in this kind of like dealing with it time, but it's like little interruptions, or like little mundane sort of little, I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
Nothing in my world has been super dramatic or like imploding by any means, but it is just funny little topsy-turvy moments during this time that I'm now kind of like, I see you, Mercury.
I see you.
And with that, it kind of makes me feel, Heather, that Mercury likes to be the boss. Like this is her time to sort of shine. This is like her sort of time to like be in control. She's a little bossy, that Mercury. Like our next like our first birth chart of the episode, huh, Heather? Was working so hard on that segue. I was just working so hard.
Yes, bossy pants.
Bossy pants.
I read it. Oh my
I loved
God,
it.
that's so funny. Yeah, the first chart we're going to analyze. Strong Mercury placement in this chart.
Mm-hmm.
The one and only Tina Fey.
Tina.
I mean, we all owe so much to Tina Fey. Like, this woman gave us Mean Girls. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
But what a Taurus. Like,
my
what
dad loves Mean Girls as a he's a Virgo. Sorry.
How can you
But it's
not?
like, it's
It is
iconic.
like the greatest. I mean, it is definitely the movie of our
slaps.
generation. I've always
Yeah.
said, like, our grandchildren are going to be
Yeah.
quoting Mean Girls and being like, oh my God, like, it's going to be the Heathers for,
Literally.
yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But yeah, Tina Fey, I mean, we all know her. We all love her. She's a Taurus sun, Libra moon, Leo rising. I think that I would hit it off with her really well.
Yeah.
All signs I was along with very well.
Kind of not a bad sign of the bunch. Not that there are.
Yeah, not that there are.
But
Just
immediately off the bat, that's just kind of like, oh,
these are the ones I tend to have in my life. Yeah.
Right. Specifically for like, I feel like everyone has a handful of signs that mean a little more to them than someone else, right?
Yeah,
just based
or
on
that
your
they
experience.
attract, or
yeah. Literally. Yeah.
Yeah, but no, this chart is really, really cool. I think that the Taurus makes sense. I think that she's someone who's always worked. Like, I don't think she has an issue with work.
Right.
And Taurans don't get enough credit for how fucking funny they are. Like, every
Truly.
Taurus I know is hilarious.
Same.
And the earth signs, I think, need more credit for being funny, because they just, like, it's the way they just view the world. It's like their lens for reality just like helps them to observe it in a funny way. But yeah, most
Earth
comedians I feel like
brains.
have strong earth presence.
Yeah,
But
it's that way. I think comedy specifically, a lot of it, the way comedy works and when it's done well is when it's relatable. And I think earth signs do a really good job about appearing. They know how to word things. They just know how to be
so right.
relatable.
Yeah.
Really naturally and authentically.
Yeah.
Go on.
No, you're so right. That's a really good point.
I'm like me, a very, very funny girl with my Taurus rising.
Exactly. I mean, I was gonna say it. Yeah.
Go on, Heather.
Yeah. So Taurus sun makes sense to me in the 10th house of career, public success, all that stuff. But then what I think is super cool is that Mercury, like we were talking about, the planet of communication, is almost on the same exact degree as Saturn, also in the 10th house in Taurus. So she's meant to communicate, but Saturn is Capricorn's planet of restriction and limitations, and it's the planet, people are kind of like, oh, Saturn. But it also usually points to where you can master a skill, where you can find career success. So the fact that she's a Taurus sun with Taurus in the 10th house, and then Saturn and Mercury right on top of each other, also in Taurus in the 10th, sort of suggests that she, when it comes to her career and public life, she's meant to communicate, bring form to her mind. And and I'm also realizing, I don't think that Mercury or Saturn has any other aspects to any points in the chart. So it's like standing on its own, not in conversation with other planets, which is very rare. But probably makes that even more significant. Like she's really meant to communicate to the masses. Yeah. And Taurus is very creative too, because it's Venus ruled.
Yeah.
It like understands how to please.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Molly McCord, who I listened to, has been talking a lot about how Taurus is like very creative. And I am like, oh, I never really thought of it that way. Like when I think of the most creative signs, Taurus isn't one of the first ones that comes to mind. But
It makes sense because it's Venus ruled. It's about beauty.
Yeah, I was
Venus
gonna
is very
say.
attributed to beauty, art, understanding the senses and understanding how to bring pleasure to yourself and to others.
Yeah.
So in that way, I think it makes complete sense.
Every fucking Taurus I know gives a fucking shit. They give a shit about their space, how it looks. And it's like
Mhm.
not from a place of like, I got to keep up appearances. Cause also every Taurus I know isn't super like, like not brand namey, but like every Taurus I know is usually obsessed with quality
Yes.
over,
In their
um,
outfits and in
yes.
the way they
and
decorate
their aesthetic. Like it's
Uh-huh.
all about the aesthetic. And it's to me, a big part of it comes from like, it's about an overall vibe. It's about a feeling. So again, it still comes back to like like there's creativity to it. Like,
Yeah.
I think Taurans like are a little more known for enjoying the more simplistic, like I could also be making this way too vague, but it is just funny. I feel like a lot of Taurans I know are go the simplistic route and know how to bring beauty out of the simple things. And so that's what I mean. Like, it's not so much that they like want beauty and like brand names and all this like materialistic stuff.
Right.
It's like beauty for a specific feeling.
Yes. Yes.
And I think yeah. Go
I
ahead,
think
sorry.
that's a testament to it being a personal sign also. Whereas
Right.
like Capricorn, I see sometimes getting like I don't know. In my experience, I'm really just thinking about the housewives, but like
Right.
the Capricorn housewives can be a little bit like brand namey because it's more about the
like appeal.
public, the
Right.
transpersonal, yeah, how it's appearing to others, where it's Taurus
Right.
is more personal.
The bigger picture to it.
Right, how it relates to society and everything. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. But Leo rising I think makes sense too, because although Tina's like main talent is writing, she also like loves to perform. She also
Right.
like there's a part of her who loves to act in
Eats it
her
up.
stuff and
Yeah.
she's good at it. She has a knack for it. And then the moon is in Libra, conjunct Jupiter in the 4th, which is very interesting. I feel like she's a total sweetheart, very generous in her relationships, probably like cares a lot about the people in her life.
Yeah.
And
her close ones.
is also maybe pretty like optimistic, but also a deep feel. Well, it's sort of a contradiction having moon in the 4th house in Libra, because Libra is like not totally a deep feeler, but the moon in the 4th is. So I don't know. It's interesting.
You
but
don't think that Libra can be a deep feeler, Heather?
well, no, I won't say that. I think they can be. It's just it's an air sign. It's not like
I see. They don't
You know what I
lead
mean?
with like, let me process and like think about this obsessively, like say a water sign.
yes, exactly.
Respectfully. But yeah,
Yeah.
like it's I just wanted more to know what you meant by that. But
Yeah.
combined with her other signs, she feels her shit.
I think
And
so.
I wonder-
And Neptune's right on the oh no, it's in the 4th. Yeah, Neptune's in the 4th.
Well, she has a
house
life and a
opposite the
career.
sun.
Oh, sorry.
No, sorry. There's sensitive points in the chart is what I'm saying.
Gotcha.
Basically. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So I was gonna say too, I'm sure a lot of Tina's complications, or just a lot of the way she does her processing and feeling and expressing, is through her creativity, through her art,
Yeah.
through it's her career. It gets to be her career, which is so fucking Taurus that like she learned how to make like money from a creative passion. Like that's beautiful. Like that itself is beautiful. And very exciting shit. But like, yeah, it's just interesting to get into the more depths and crevices of Tina's chart. Because I've always kind of felt that way too. And reading her book, I felt like I understood her a lot more as well. Like she really is a very relatable writer. Very down to earth. Like I was just like, there's really, I kind of like, what's that phrase? A Taurus. But no.
Yeah.
Tina, we're your biggest fans. Come on the show.
We are.
Were there any other like sensitive points, Heather, too? I know I feel like I talked over you.
No, not at all. No. It's also interesting that her other 2 personal planets are in the 11th house, where you have a lot of planets.
dealing with community and dreams and your purpose within the larger collective. So she has Venus and Mars conjunct there, which forms a nice trine to the moon and Jupiter. So there's also something of, yeah, exactly what you were saying, like processing emotions through writing and just having this strong sense of self, I would say, that assists with putting yourself out there in a public realm and connecting with people on a larger scale. Yeah, does that make sense?
No, yeah, I hear you. Like I do. I feel like it's kind of the beauty of like being a writer is that like you get to kind of still before Tina really was like performing on SNL and I think got and blew up way more because a lot of the SNL writers stay out of a lot of the public eye or limelight because they're not directly on the TVs. And like Tina had the whole like news segment, but she even says this in her book. What blew her up was oh my God, what's her name?
Amy Poehler?
No, the politician.
Oh. I can see Alaska from my.
I could see Alaska from Russia, don't you know?
Sarah Palin?
Yes, Sarah
Yeah.
Palin. Thank
Right.
you, Heather. Jesus. I mean, my God, she crushed it. Like she did. She really fucking nailed Sarah Palin.
I know.
Like Lauren was like, respectfully, you don't have a choice. You're doing it. And she talks about how that warped her, that like blew her up into kind of like very, very famous.
Yeah.
But even still, I think that's kind of the beauty of a writer is that you get to kind of remain down to earth and get to make at that realm, so to speak. Like what a perfect thing for her as a Taurus. Like it's like her Leo is still getting to shine because she gets to fucking say the shit she wants to say. Like writers have so much more control. They might not be in front of the screen, but like the writer has so much more control and respect. I feel like people don't always realize in the industry. Like to be a writer is also, it's kind of like, whoa,
you're
like,
calling the shots. Yeah.
There's because not to say that there's not like talent in acting, obviously, and that it's not a really hardworking job, but you are not in control. You're in control of your performance, but like it's not always, you don't get to say in the writing, you don't get to say in the costumes, you don't really get to say in the character. You're there to do a job. The writer is, it's very creative. It's very, very creative. And then while you also still kind of get to remain, she gets to say what the shit she wants to say. She gets to be literally bossy. She gets to be in control, which she loves, which her chart clearly loves.
Yeah.
But she gets to like communicate with the masses, but all that started from a place of kind of behind the curtain more so.
Right.
Like it just now seeing her chart, that literally, that's so Tina. It's like, it's very interesting to me the way she is specifically famous. Obviously, again, that Leo sparks up and she does like performing and it's like so fun. Her cameo in Mean Girls and stuff even, but and then like her and Amy did Baby Mama.
Right.
I don't think like, I don't know if that dunked or not. I feel like Baby Mama did well like later. It was more of like it was better in retrospect. Anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is just like, I feel like we say this about a lot of the people, especially after we read their charts, but I do feel like Tina is someone that I would enjoy hanging out with in real life. And like I would love her as a mentor.
Totally,
like we'd get coffee and she'd be real. It would be like there'd be such a trust there because of her author. I feel like she wouldn't bullshit me if we were on that level.
No, absolutely. I so agree. Yeah. It's a great chart. She's amazing.
It's a stellar chart. Yeah. Tina, we love you. Come on the show.
Love you.
And Heather, real quick too, because I'm trying to be more mindful now, especially since having a little brunch with McVeigh about like just like certain elements. Will you real quick spark notes for the folks, like the houses again, like what it means to like yes, sorry, I know that that's like, again, when we say the basics of astrology, we could be talking about layers and layers of things, but like like if you would explain that in your elevator pitch.
Yeah. So you need your time of birth to know where your rising sign falls. And then once you know the rising sign, that dictates where all the signs fall house-wise in your chart. So I was born with Leo rising, therefore I have Virgo in my second house, just like Tina Fey. Libra falls in the third, so on and so forth. So it dictates the order, it dictates where the signs fall within the houses.
Gotcha.
But every natal chart, you have the signs, but then you also have the houses. And so it starts with the rising at house 1, then you have the second house, third house, fourth house, going all the way around the chart. Each house relates to one of the signs. So the first house represents Aries themes, but unless you have Aries rising, you're probably not going to have Aries in your first house. So it makes
Gotcha.
it very complex. So
Right.
like
That's where it gets a
Tina,
little more.
That's where it gets like there's a lot to take in and analyze. But like, yeah, for example, Tina has Leo rising. Leo's in her first house. She expresses her identity and feels her raw Aries power in Leo ways through expressing her Leo side of her personality.
Incredible.
If we had more time, I could go
No,
way
I
more
know.
into it. But yeah,
But I hear
that's
what
a
you're saying now.
general.
Every house is already assigned a sign, essentially. There's 12 houses for each
Mhm.
sign. But so and that starts with 1. So technically the first house is like in Aries.
So, and I'll
Or Aries
say
is in
that
the first house. I'm
there's a
sorry.
lot of astrologers who don't like to look at it this way, but I
Oh.
think that it really makes the most sense to attribute each house. Like it really, the first house deals with Aries themes. It deals,
Right.
it deals with
deals with those
identity, how you,
themes.
yes,
But in your own personal chart,
whatever
just
sign
because
falls there
the
will
house
color
in
it.
general, right? Okay, so just because the house in general deal, like first house, for example, you feel, Heather, deals in your professional astrological opinion,
Yes.
you feel like the first house deals with more Aries themes. But like, for example, your rising is technically where your first house begins. However, each house still has an attached sign to it that
Yes.
is a little more like, that's where maybe some more emphasis is. Or like,
yes.
I think it's a nice thing to like know. And when looking at your chart, if it better explains and makes more sense again, and it's relatable to you in that way, come on. Like
the houses add a whole layer. The houses are my favorite.
That's wild. That
favorite.
really,
like,
thank you for articulating that. As again, Heather constantly is telling me things all the time that I'm making her repeat, because it does. This shit is just like, it's not easy. It's really,
not.
it's
so
layered and
complex.
convoluted. And yeah, very complex. And so I always appreciate it, Heather, when you take the time out to do that. And I'm trying to be better about stopping to ask those questions. Because, yeah, I think I forget sometimes that we have even more beginners than me listening.
Right.
So,
I forget too. Yeah, no, that's
God
good.
love you. But yes, for our next, speaking of also just sort of like this next person, kind of, it surprised me to learn recently how spiritual they are and just how tapped into astrology they are. And they like love, they like love getting a boyfriend and then like wearing his blood
Oh my god.
like around her neck. Or no, what they do?
Angelina Jolie do that?
They like drank each other's blood. Yeah. Megan Fox. Megan Fox drank Machine Gun Kelly's blood, or so they say. But regardless, bitch is spiritual. Now, and I consider myself spiritual. I've never done that, but yet,
Right.
keep my options open, I suppose. But yeah, like and I think it's because it's Megan fucking Fox. Like everything I had known of her about up until then was like, she's Megan Fox. She's the hot babe in Transformers, but also an incredible actress. I remember watching Transformers and being like, Megan Fox can really act. And I don't think I'd really seen her in much before that. And then Jennifer's Body is one of my favorite movies to date. Like it's so good. And I know that's just like you brought up the Heathers earlier, Heather. And that was something that was not well received when it first came out and became a cult classic that people love.
But it's amazing. Yeah.
And that's exactly, I think, what happened with Jennifer's Body. And it's because what's her face who created it created Juno first. And like, I got all into this because I was watching Megan Fox interviews, but Megan Fox, like, they talked about this where they got like the same audience that enjoyed Juno for Jennifer's Body, and they're really different films. Like they're very different vibes.
Interesting. Yeah.
And I know that because I like Jennifer's Body. Just kidding. I like Juno too, but Jennifer's Body is one that I like.
Yeah.
I really
yeah.
enjoy rewatching. It's really fun to me. It's just
Yeah,
more of my
yeah.
speed. Anyway, and that is Megan Fox's favorite movie, she says.
Wow.
But regardless of all that, it is just like the older she's gotten, the more she's spoken out a little bit in interviews, and she's been a little more vulnerable and very honest and open with how like the treatment she received in Hollywood, and how exactly she was always kind of just like labeled as this hot babe, and like it took her a long time to like gain respect. And like I think Michael Bay's a piece of shit, and we all know this now anyway from the Transformer films. And like I think that he really fucked up her career there for a little bit.
Yeah.
And she's back in our good graces, and I'm such a fan. And she is so hot, and she's got her Taurus aesthetic going on, of course.
She does.
She does. But to find out she's so spiritual and aligned with that and very in tune with that was really, really special. And she like, there's another interview where she knows Machine Gun Kelly, MGK, as the Zoomers call him, as the kids say. She like knows his chart pretty well, and it's so funny. There's a TikTok of everyone in the comments being like, "Bitch, if you know this chart as well as you say you do, why are you still here? Run!" And I do think there's been some trouble in paradise with them recently.
Oh shit!
Like there's rumors of him cheating or something, and she. Again, it's so fun looking at her chart, because the reason people know that is because she like. I think either she wiped a bunch of pictures off of her Instagram of the two of them, or I think that's what happened. And then it's like, she had like a photo up that was like a Beyonce lyric. That was like, "I pray I catch you whispering," which like in that whole song alludes to Jay-Z's cheating on Beyonce. So like a lot of fans made that allusion, but I'm like, oh, we have a fiery, like she's got that like, anyways, Heather, apologies. I'm getting ahead of myself, but like that's like kind of the new recent on her personal drama. But again, I'm gonna be so honest, I could be so behind on that. You know who will let me know? Alex motherfucking Nightingale.
Yeah, we can always count on her.
Bitch was in my messages like, "You're so off on your gossip," and I said, "Oh my God, don't embarrass me like this." But anyways, yeah. So she's a Taurus sun, Leo moon. My whole point to what.
Is
That's
one of
what
my favorite combinations. I've had
Yeah.
a few good friends who are Taurus suns, Leo moons, and they are a good fucking time.
Yeah, I bet.
I love a Leo moon.
I just feel like Megan is just like, she's like down. Like
Yeah.
she's just like, fuck yeah. Let's
Yeah.
like, and I feel like she could talk to anybody and kind of like, it's like, and from a genuine interest of like, well, why do you say that? What do you mean? Like from an understanding, like she's such a fun conversationalist. I really have been enjoying like being a fan of hers. I've never wasn't a fan,
Yeah.
but she's just like been more, she's just been around more and very vulnerable. And then especially with all of her spirituality
Yeah, how can you not
conversations,
love
I'm like,
that?
I love this bitch. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then she's a Capricorn rising. So
Which I feel, because
Yes.
there's a darkness. You know,
she
you would
is
think
kind of-
Scorpio. Oh, but
Right.
Scorpio's the midheaven. So her public identity, like the ascendant is, you know, like how you come across at like a party, but the midheaven is how you come across to the larger public, and that's in Scorpio. So I think that makes sense with Pluto there, Scorpio's
Wow.
ruling planet. Sorry to cut you off. But
No, that's really exciting.
but the Capricorn rising's a little dark too, I think.
Well, and then paired with Scorpio like that. Why
Right.
is sorry, Heather, why is Capricorn why does that have a tendency to be darker? I know
I
we've talked about
don't
this,
know, but it's a fact. Like I can't tell you. Every Capricorn I've known in my life has had a period where they've been very into screamo music, or they've been goth or emo. I don't know
She's
what
going
it
through that
is.
stage now with MGK.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. Like Capricorns, like comment. Shouts out to Bianca Wiesler. Like I'm just
Bianca.
they all it's
Angel.
like funny because they are
Right.
like the responsible ones, but there's this dark edge to them.
That's so fun.
Yeah.
No, yeah. Megan Fox, like again, finding out she was spiritual was so, I'm like, well, no shit. She's got like her Taurus sun and then her Capricorn ascending. But you're so right. That Scorpio midheaven could not be better placed. She's kind of she's always had a little like kind of darkness, mysteriousness about her. But again, I think we're seeing an older, more mature, like more vulnerable, more willing just to be like authentic and more honest with the folks.
Yeah.
Megan Fox right now in a way that, God, it just works for her. And she was like with the father of her kids, she was with for like almost 20 years. I don't know. Like they were really together for a long time. I think it was like an 18-year relationship. The listeners, Alex
Wow.
Nightingale will let
Yeah.
me know. But she was with him for a long time. And then it's like she had this huge switch up. And I'm interested now. I know we don't have, if we had more time on the episode, I'd
Yeah,
get
we
into
could
this
really
more,
go
but
into it. Yeah.
I'm gonna look at it after, honestly. But like,
Yeah.
it'd be interesting to see maybe what was going on in her chart, and what was astrologically maybe happening during her divorce, because it's like she had this like divorce, and then immediately gets into this super kind of high profile relationship with Machine Gun Kelly, kind of like her Pete Davidson, which is so funny because they're friends. Machine Gun Kelly and Pete Davidson, and then like Kim Kardashian started dating Pete, and then it's so funny
Right.
because Machine Gun Kelly and also Travis Barker, Courtney's little like, so like Courtney and Megan are both like kind of all on these double dates together, and they're this little goth, this like
Right.
goth
That
punk
Scorpio
rock
energy, even if it's not
foursome.
Scorpio.
Yeah.
Travis is Scorpio. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, and then Courtney's just, I think, comfortable with Scorpio because of how much she's fucking surrounded by it, honestly.
Right. In her family. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And then Kim had her Pete moment. But yeah, like it is just I'm
Right.
interested
Oh
to
my
see.
God.
It was she was kind of so not on the radar as much, and like had kids and was with this guy and then got into the super high profile, just interesting. I'm interested to know,
Yeah.
like, because now I also think she's kind of now taking a step back again. Not like she's like losing any of her fame by any means, but I think like on her terms, a little step out of the limelight. But I think she needed, like, I think something happened. Something. And then again, she's got this Leo moon. So she's a passionate bitch. And I'm sure when it comes to relationships, having that Leo moon.
Well,
plays.
okay. And speaking of the houses, Leo moon in the 7th house of one-to-one relationships in Libra's house. And the past
All right.
3 guys I've dated have had 7th house moons. I tend to attract it, but there's like a yeah, you need you find a lot of emotional comfort and stability through one-to-one relationships. So I would say this chart is a relationship person. The chart of a relationship person for sure. And Mars on the ascendant is also really important to mention, I think, because in general, when people have Mars in the 1st house, it's like they dress really over the top, or they like it's Mars is Aries planet and the 1st house is Aries house of like identity, so there's an extra charge of like oomph, like when I walk into a room you're gonna notice me.
It's
so
Megan fucking
and
Fox.
she has that, yeah, for sure, so I think that's worth noting.
Wow.
Also,
Yeah, her chart is so aligned with everything I know about her.
Yeah.
It really checks out. Ugh. That was these were both very fun.
Very
Taurus.
fun, I have to say. Yeah. The
Megan.
charts make a lot of sense. Also, both like kind of like harmonious charts.
I was gonna
I think.
say, like, lucky ass Taurans, and then they have like kind of like really nice charts that work for them and with them.
Yeah. A lot of luck in both of these charts.
Yeah. What the fuck's that like? You know what I'm saying? Just kidding.
Right.
What's it not to constantly not be at war with yourself?
I know.
I would not know. That was fun. Heather, we got this Mercury in retrograde, folks, but we are pushing through. Okay. Like your car's going to need fixing. You might get a flat tire. Your phone might break.
Thank God I already fixed my tires before this.
Yeah. You might get reached out from your estranged cousin. Who knows? Like it's just a wild,
your neighbor might
weird
need your help.
time. Yeah. Just truly ebbs and flows, y'all. Y'all welcome it. Be gracious for it. A lot of times it's usually the universe trying to extra point something out, perhaps, or distract you. And like, like our situation today, Heather, right? Ended up having a really positive time going out of the way to get that cable, right?
It's always positive.
Yeah. We've always got to put that spin. You always got to remember your infinite abundance.
Hell yeah. As Megan and Tina would.
Oh, I love you, Heather.
I love you.
Another incredible day in Taurus.
Yes.
Folks, we'll see you right back here next week.
We shall.
Infinite abundance. Au revoir.
Infinite abundance.
Kiss,
Bye.
kiss. Bye.